How you doing? How's everything going? Just a quick heads up. We can't see any of the chat or any of the questions going on, so you're gonna have to relay that to us. Is that cool? We tried in a bunch of different browsers and whatnot, but we couldn't get any of the questions to come up and actually see the stuff as it was going live. So I figured this would probably be maybe the easiest way to do it. Yeah, no problem. I'll introduce it. Hi, I'm Ron Medaska. I'm the director and him in MP2V, as you can see with the shirt. Behind me is Joseph Sergio. He was a creative consultant. He worked on audio. He did a bunch of different things, graphic-wise, for the movie. Coming in is Jules. Jules was the narrator of the film, also co-producer of what went on, and this is one of our victims. This is my brother, Scott. So he's a little weird. That's why he likes to appear like this. He's a little shy. Well, actually, I'll start it, and then I'll Jules interject a little bit on his end. He's been drinking, so give him a little bit of leeway over there. What it basically is we have 20 clips, 20 sequences as we put them up, and one by one we released them when the movie first came out at the end of July, and each of them was basically giving a clue of the movie all the way towards the end of what it was, how it was building, and just little pieces and clues on actually what was going on. Simultaneously on Twitter and Facebook, we had two different accounts going where there was a person out there who was requesting clues from the public, helping trying to solve, either identify people, locations, things that might have happened. Almost it was a combination of a kind of a serial killer road diary and a murder mystery where people actually live giving us clues where we could find out information, get stuff. Like a couple people actually identified Harriman State Park where we filmed actually a few of the scenes up there. So it was cool to get a lot of interaction with the public because what we're trying to do is cross and create a new kind of branch where it's not reality as you see it now where you're going to vote in. Joe's getting a little antsy, so let him go. But it's not how where you would vote in for something, but actually where you would participate actively. Also, in the next upcoming weeks, we're going to have stuff on the new website, which will be relaunched in a few weeks or so, where we're going to be giving away DVDs, signed posters on people who can help identify what happened, answer questions to the movie, and this is all going to help build to MP3V, which will be the sequel in a trilogy of films that we actually have planned. Jules?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Should I start this one?
Yeah, good.
Well, I mean, we've always we're a fan of old time movies, so we decided that we wanted to do something. We wanted to make a movie, and so it started with a phone conversation. I was on my way to one of my restaurant jobs in Manhattan, and I was on the phone with Rob, and I was on one of my usual rants that all my friends have become very familiar with. So I was ranting about reality television. Everything's reality television. And Rob and I started talking about, and we had been talking about doing something for a while. I just, kind of mentioned to Rob, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a movie, and of course Rob wanted to do something about killers, because that's where his mind is at. What are you going to do? So basically I just said, wouldn't it be cool if like I could almost like show up to work and be like taken out by the police like right at my job if we made something that was really realistic looking and kind of blended reality with what would be a movie and did something along those lines. So.
Yeah, we're big fans of like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, Texas Chainsaw, things along those lines. So we kind of wanted to blend the way the film looked in Henry with a lot of the different isolation of Chainsaw. So actually the cabin, which most of it was shot towards the beginning of the movie and whatnot, it's my father's cabin. It's in the middle of New York State. I mean, it's like 20 miles from the nearest town. So as far as the isolation part, we had that. So basically what we did is we put together and we built a script around that and pretty much systematically filmed that way along the ways. Actually, I've maybe done one other horror movie, small independent, maybe like 10 years ago. But as far as me, I haven't. But I grew up on Universal horrors. I mean, I could pretty much verbatim do the whole movie here if you wanted, but I'm sure nobody would want to hear that out there. So I grew up on that. So I grew up on horror and loving comedy. And he's moving too much. But we did comedy, and you could actually check us out on YouTube. We had a show called Cable Excess. So that's C-A-B-L-E, the letter X and the letter S. You can go on YouTube now. We got a bunch of different things up there. You can check out different sketches. We appeared in Manhattan on TV there, all of northern New Jersey, which is where we're from. So we did improv for about 20 years or so, mostly live. But that's how we eventually got into doing TV as far as that and getting into the production end of it. That's how I got into editing. That's how I got into directing as far as the TV end. After the live theater stuff. It was great training because you're on stage, you're in Manhattan, it's one of the top places to perform, if not the top in the world. Constant stuff coming at you, so you really got to think on your feet, kind of like I'm doing now with the guy next to me, because I don't even know what's going on and I don't want to look to my left. It's really scary. Jules, you want to talk?
Yeah, we used to go around the city doing shows at various comedy clubs. Then I took some classes at Gotham City, and then also at Upright Citizens Brigade in the city, which is the Amy Poehler group. So we did a little bit of that. But we used to just we did like some, and we've always had a twisted perception. Like Rob, one of the sketches that I always loved that Rob did was Charles Manson at a parole hearing. And they basically deny his parole, and then it turns into a Snicker commercial, not going anywhere for a while. And he pulls out like a Snicker bar from his jumpsuit. So we would do stuff like that, or we would do something like, what was it, My Two Sons, about the Menendez brothers, and do it like a sitcom. And
it kind of carried forward into this movie because a lot of it was pieced together, but a lot of it was improv, as we did with actual lines and actual scenes. So we utilize that background a lot, and we like to work with people who have an improvisational background just to keep the flow of things going. Horror-wise, I would have to say the Universal movies. That's huge as far as what I like. A big Boris Karloff fan. But I love the 70s, early 80s with Chainsaw, Halloween, movies like that where they don't show everything that's going on. I don't want to see everything that's really happening. I love it like in Halloween when he chokes the dog. You don't see anything. But it's everything that is implied, and that's what we kind of tried to do with this movie. We wanted implications that things were happening, like example with the baby. You don't see really anything that happens. You leave it up to your head what imagination throws in there. We had a couple people who have seen what we did, and they saw the baby scene, and it was universal. Women were completely appalled by that. Some of them had to leave when we were showing the first time when we had the airing of it here, and it was stuff that we didn't show that we wanted to emphasize rather than stuff that was flat out straight in your face. Pretty much taken from those things like I said, in the 70s, early 80s, when they had that kind of horror going on.
I like Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick, when he did The Shining. I thought, to me, like, I like horror that is actually things that are that can actually happen in real life. That's what scares me. As opposed to something about, like, a giant bat attacking a city or whatever. That's probably, I guess it could happen. The way we're treating the environment. It's another show. But yeah, like I like things that are more, like psychological things that can happen in someone's mind, and things that are closer to what really can exist. Frighten me. And Peter Sellers.
Yeah, genius.
Anything Peter Sellers.
Comedy-wise, I love Benny Hill. Absolute genius.
So that's.
Yeah, well, actually, Joe, you want to start with that one? Because he worked a bunch of it on the set upstate, and he had never been up there before, so I'd be interested in his take on it.
Well, basically, just shooting all guerrilla style in the middle of the rain, stuff like that, going into abandoned houses that basically where the floor is about ready to cave in on all of us while we're sitting there trying to shoot a scene for something like this. I mean, we had something, we were basically doing stuff like that.
Yeah, the abandoned...
Running and gunning.
the abandoned house, now that Joe mentions it, there was no electricity in there. So it's like, how do you power your lights and stuff? So we had a conversation about that, like how are we going to light in there to be able to shoot? So we used lanterns, and basically got our way around that. I think that's the beauty of independent filmmaking is you don't have a giant budget, all this money to spend on special lenses and all these different things. So you got to figure out creative ways to get what you want done.
We actually, I'll tell you one story. There's a scene that didn't actually make it in the final cut. We shot someplace in Jersey, out west a little bit, and we did a scene where we had a hitchhiker, not in the film. It started off really bad. It was a Sunday. It was a beautiful Sunday. Everybody and their mother was out. So we're, I don't know, probably about 40 miles outside of New York West. So we shot this. We had two scenes. We shot the one scene on a highway. We had bikers pulling over. We had cars pulling over. We're just trying to shoot it and get on. Then we got to the next scene where we actually had to tie this guy up over here to a tree, and he was going to have his leg chopped off. We went into the park. There was nobody around, but he started screaming. And I'm like flipping out going, dude, I can add this in post. There's no need to go screaming. Long story short, about 15, 20 minutes, I was face to face with a shotgun literally to my face, as the park police came up, shotgun right to my face, find out what the hell was going on, and we're sitting there going, Jules,
I saw the
position.
Yeah, I saw them actually coming up the hill, and I could see the guns and everything, and I just started saying, making a movie. We're making a movie.
As this guy, tied to a tree, is saying, no, keep filming. Yeah, I'm going to keep filming with buckshot in my head. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, right.
So they come up to this campsite, the state troopers, and then they see like a campsite. There's like a hatchet, like a hammer, an axe, all like sitting on the floor. We got like fake blood on the grass, and he's like tied to the tree. And we had him like with his leg behind him. So it looked like he had his leg removed.
And swear to God, this is the most thing they were pissed off at, that they had to rush for their lunch at McDonald's. Can't make that up. Can't make it up.
It's true.
Yeah, we actually have a bunch of treatments. This guy, when he's not duct taped, has put together a few different treatments for horror movies that we've been working on. Joe behind us, he's actually put together a feature that we starting to raise funds for and put together. That's more of a drama type comedy. As far as Jules and myself, we're pretty much focused in on putting together MP2V and then the final chapter, which will be MP4V, that will round out and answer a bunch of these different questions with regard to, like, people want to know who's the guy at the computer, what's he typing, what's the beginning and the end of that, even the ending credits, which somebody brought up to me. They actually purchased it's a funny story, they purchased the movie from Film Baby. They downloaded it from Film Baby, but they didn't get the DVD. They got the download, so it's only the movie, no extras, which there was a bunch on there. So they're playing the movie on their computer, and as you see, at the end, it goes to the blue screen. They thought their computer crapped out. So they started flipping out, cursing me out, because they thought that it actually died, not knowing it was a part of the film. And I hadn't even thought of that. I just started laughing, because there's just so many different layers of things that are happening in the movie.
I mean, what we would like to do is we'd like to maintain a certain stylistic point of view. Like when you see all the movies that we do, or if we do a web series or anything that we do, we want to maintain a certain style. This way, people know when they see something that we do that you could tell that it's like ours that we do.
Which actually, since Jules mentioned, we're actually working on a web series that we're going to start on probably like first week of January. So it's called Crawl Space. I'll just leave you with that. Well, the closest thing was him. We did the duct tape scene in the movie where we actually duct taped him down and going through, and we did it live. I wanted to do it with no cuts, no breaking the camera, no different angles, because I wanted to simulate, as he researched, somebody actually suffocating to death. The first time we shot it, the cameraman stopped it at about 1:30 in, thinking that he was going to actually suffocate and die. And I flipped out, because I told him we only have a certain amount of takes to get this because of the intricacy and the way it was shot. So when we did finalize, which you saw was the second take, he really was shot. He was like, we had to take him outside, let him breathe. because it was really intense when we shot. I mean, Jules can tell.
Yeah. I mean, that scene was also created under very special circumstances, which is like spending time in the cabin that we shot in, which had no running water, no bathroom, no cell service. We basically had, what did we have? We had like a 12 pack of beer, and we went over like some of the shots that we wanted to do, and that's when we talked about that really long take. And when you do like a really long take with no cuts, it's like if any one thing is like wrong, then it just blows the whole thing, the whole point of it out of it. And it's interesting to act that too, because as you're doing this long take, you not only have to act the scene that you're in, you have to watch where the cameraman is and be able to like make it look like you're going through this house that we've never been in, and make it look all chaotic and everything. So that was quite a challenge. But Scott actually in the movie, you can actually hear a window breaking when he goes back on the chair. He actually, we were all like,
You did it.
Yeah, we were doing the scene and we got into it, and I had forgotten that the wall behind the curtain was glass.
Those orange curtains.
Those like really.
So he pushed him.
So I just wanted to put him up through the. I just wanted to lean him up against the wall, and I wound up putting him a little bit through the glass. Fortunately, nothing.
Well, that you can thank 1970s curtains.
Yeah, yeah.
The thickness of 1970s curtains came into play there, so.
Yeah, it's like
So
fiberglass hanging down there,
So
or Kevlar.
no one got hurt on that. They should make bulletproof vests out of that.
Yeah.
Abandoned house in the cemetery, of course. The abandoned house because I was there and I had to breathe in all that mold and stuff, which took at least 10 years off my life, so I have to like it like this. That was the best.
What do you want to?
I like the camping scene at the end, only because when we were shooting it and the two girls were walking back and forth and I was ready to pounce, my brother was sitting there and he was monitoring the situation because we were about an hour in the woods, easy. And after we got done shooting, he goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, there was a brown bear there ready to come out." But I didn't want to tell anybody because we didn't want to get I want to lose the light.
Yeah. And I was actually worried about the fact that there were bears when we were hiking, and I think I had a month worth of blisters from hiking an hour into the woods and then an hour with equipment and everything on our backs. So that was probably one of my, I think it's one of the most beautiful, picturesque kind of scenes in the movie, but it was probably one scene that I didn't enjoy, like getting there and getting back. The actual filming took less time than hiking in and hiking out. I felt it almost took less time. I enjoy I love the opening scene of the movie with the crickets and the lighting of the house and the girl running down the road with me following in the house. That's the scene that I personally find my favorite. And as far as to go back to safety, we were always, very, very particular about making sure that no one got hurt, anything like when we were in the abandoned house, we're joking about it, but we made sure that watch, there's glass over here, or when she was running down the road in that night scene, I walked that entire road and just moved rocks out of the way. This way when she was running, I made sure there were no ditches, and when we would be shooting that scene later, that it would be safe, that she wouldn't be tripping on anything or stuff like that. So we are conscious of being safe. It's always important to be in control and safe, but still make it look like everything is happening out of control.
We like the improv aspect of it, but this is probably, as a director or producer or just working on the set, probably about my 300th or 400th shoot. So I'm used to so many things going wrong, like the chat thing, I can't read tonight, things like that. So I got a contingency plan just in case. So we're pretty cautious and we're pretty safe when we shoot. But anything can happen, like that shotgun incident at any time. Stuff. It'd have to be a bad one because I wouldn't want to remake anything that's good.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have to say one thing I would really like to remake is The Bat Whispers. It's a movie from 1930. It's one of the first talking kind of horror murder mystery movies. If you get a chance, look at it. There's a scene in there that I showed these guys I swear to God, today I don't even know how the hell they did it. The lighting and the cinematography on it is absolutely brilliant. So I would like to do something along those lines, just so I can expose people who have never seen things like that to things like that. So it would help expand artistic horizons, possibilities of things they can film, and maybe not have people show so much, but more leave a lot to the imagination, because it's by far the most powerful thing we have in the world.
Um, now that Rob took us back 70 years, I'll do something more modern. I was kind of excited about the Red Riding Hood movie when I saw the trailer. I saw like the face of a wolf and then a pretty girl, which was it the girl from Clueless or
Not Clueless.
Mean Girls?
Amanda Seyfried.
Her name is, yeah. So I saw this trailer, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's a great classic story, Red Riding Hood. I get into the theater, and then I'm like basically watching like an Abercrombie and Fitch commercial, where like everybody in this ancient village has perfect teeth and perfect hair and everything, and it's like, I think I would rather...
It was toothbrush time.
Yeah.
So I would like to maybe Red Riding Hood. I'd like to see like a real version of that story that's like really cool and edgy.
I guess that's something off the top of my head that I would like to see redone.
Joe, what would you like to read?
Speed Racer.
That's a
They just didn't give the damn thing a good movie. It could have been a great movie. They made Speed Racer, definitely.
That we used in the movie? Best prop I liked making this film was the bolo knife. That's when I cut the kid's throat with the bolo knife. I liked walking around with that just because at any time I could give myself a shave. So it was very useful, and it was nice. Jules?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to say the flip counter for me, because like I never operated one like that. I've never operated a flip camera, so to me it was just like,
It seemed like such a teenage girl thing to do. Like that they would be filming like all their friends and stuff.
Yeah.
you know, that's, so I felt like a teenage girl.
It was embarrassing though when you tried to text them.
Yes, yeah, it didn't, so yeah, that'd probably be my favorite prop, was using that.
You can make a pretty good film with it. I'll say the one thing, if anybody's out there as far as like trying to shoot, one of the most important things is you need somebody who's really good with lighting. I mean, we had some good, Joe came on, he's good with lighting, he was there a few days, but we could have, you could always use somebody who's better or good or really an expert person to light the set. The way I was able to make up for a lot of it with the flip cam, as you saw in the cabin when it goes around in a lot of different shoots, is the filters. The filters that are out now, compared to like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, are absolutely phenomenal. I used the noise filter from Neat. Oh my God, what a world of difference. The curtains before looked like you just took a big jar of pepper and exploded it with a hand grenade. It was all over. All you saw is black dots. But with that filter, it made it look 1,000 times better. So with the right filters, obviously lighting's the best way to go. But if you can use the right filters, even the film stock that I picked, I mean, the film stock that I used filter-wise was Fuji 35mm from, I think, 1974. That gave it a look that we really liked, a really scaled-down color look, per se. But lighting, by far, you can shoot on any camera. If you've got great lighting, you can make anything look good. That, and the second piece of advice that I would give is audio is 1,000 times more important than what the video is. I mean, we spent so much time. This movie's in 5:1 surround. When you hear it in 5:1 surround, all that stuff is going on. It's all around your head. And one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to make the viewer uneasy when they're watching. You figure, what the hell is going on? And not be able to just sit there and just take it in, but feel like things are coming around. So between the lighting and audio, I think by far two of the most important things. But using any of the cameras that are available now, I think you can get away with it if it's planned properly.
The camera that was used mostly is a $500 Canon Vivica camera, handheld camera. And also there's a movie out now. It's going to probably be nominated for an Oscar called Searching for Sugarman that was shot all on, well, majority of it was shot on with a iPhone, and that's something that's actually going to be that's actually an Academy Award possibility film. So you don't need knowledge of the stuff anymore.
I think that movies need to get back to character and more about like the actors, especially like when you don't have a big budget. You need to have those aspects of the things working for you. Not necessarily a story. I feel like you can get a character and you could throw anything. 25-year-old woman, she's a waitress, she's a single mom, and she takes off with her kid because her husband's abusing. It kind of starts writing itself when you start with a character, instead of going into this thing trying to make an elaborate story, and everyone's using like a green screen and all these different effects and stuff. I think, again, back to old movies, I miss like the shadows of black and white, and now it's kind of like, a lot of, they give, music will start playing and someone's turning a corner and you already know something's going to happen because they gave it away with the music. I just think it's about crafting a good film, and however you do it, I mean, the more power to you, however you get there. You don't need the most fancy things to accomplish things. I think as long as your heart's in the right place and your creativity, and we tend to, everyone that we work with, there were people like, when we went upstate, there was a guy that, in the film that plays the kid in the abandoned house. I had never met that guy before. Neither had Rob. I just I got a phone number, looking for someone to help us out when we went upstate. And I talked to him on the phone like maybe once or twice. And the first day that we met him, he had like a really good idea when we were trying to film one of the scenes, and we wound up using it. So like we want a really open environment when we're on our sets, that ideas can come from anywhere, instead of it being some kind of a dictatorship where one person has a voice and that's it, everybody is furniture. It's like, it's nice to hear all different, people's perspectives, because you never know where a good idea is going to come from.
Well, he wants to do a prequel, so he's all into that.
Who asked that question?
I already have the sequel set up. So I already know what's going on. It's already crafted in my head. It's going to be one of the weirdest things you've ever seen, and it will answer all the questions that are out there now as far as that. I'll let him discuss the prequel because that's his baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, he went right to the after, and I went right to the, well, wouldn't the before be cool, too? Like I'm interested in things like how we became friends and partners, and
you just want to know why I don't talk.
No, and why he stopped talking. Like when did that happen? And and I would almost would love to see what these two guys were like as children. That would fascinate me, if there could be some kind of flashback into seeing that. But I don't really have a broad idea. Only I thought that it might be cool to be some kind of a period piece. Going back, but that would require a lot of...
But we're definitely going to keep the same look and feel of the film as far as the way it is, because it's definitely unique. It's something that's not out there in the masses, and we like the way it looks and the way the story is presented. And getting back to your question before, big thing that's a part that seems to be lacking now is chemistry. And we have a great chemistry on screen. We have a great chemistry off screen. Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Well, let's start out with meetings. We had several meetings, and the meetings consisted of basically discussing visual things. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we were driving in a car at night and there was a guy hitchhiking or a drunk or something on the road, and they just run him over, and then you could see the body in the side view mirror. So it started out very visually, talking about things. Then we started jotting things down, and then there were a lot of index cards along the way, of like, here, I want you to say this, and writing something on an index card. And then working with the actors from upstate who we never met also, that was challenging because like I couldn't call these people up that I had never met before and basically say, yeah, so anyway, we're making a movie and we're going to tie you to a couch and abuse you and in a remote cabin in the middle of the woods. It's like, you know, it was very hard to, they had to kind of be fed things along the way in the process, so...
There was no actual lines. We, like I said, we pretty much put the scenes together and structured it improv-wise. Here's what you're going to do. What you say is what you're going to say, but this is where you got to go from point A to point B. The only line in the movie that was scripted at all was you are a capital H whore. That's it. I love all kinds of movies. Cuckoo's Nest is my favorite. I mean, I love that movie. The one thing I will say as far as movies, it's not so much style as I love different directors. William Wellman, I like. He's a big Scorsese guy. I like Scorsese a lot. I was driven by characters. It was the interaction between the people. Great example, I mean, we're a horror show, but I'm talking about The Thin Man. The characters between those two, between Myrna Loy and William Powell, you can't write that. I don't care what dialogue you write. If you don't have the talent to blend with your acting partner, your acting peers, whatever scene you're doing, doesn't matter what lines are on the script, it will not come across. Those movies and things like that are eternal because it's about the human spirit. It's not about the words that come out of your mouth. It's about the interaction between one person and another or multiple people that no matter how many years we go in the future, if I got an iPhone in my butt and I can dial the cops or pizza, whatever I'm doing, it's still about being a human being, and that is by far the most important thing any movie can ever translate.
Yeah, it's back to character again. Like, I really enjoy... I enjoy seeing someone who's psychotic, but then you see that one moment that they love their mother. I always like to see, because I think people are a lot more complicated than we make them in movies. It always tends to be, oh, here comes the guy with the black hat, or if you watch a lot of television like I do, I'll know certain actors, and then as soon as the credits roll in the beginning of the show, I know that's the bad guy, that's this. This is because they always tend to play all the same things and everything that they do. So for me, it takes away any kind of surprise. But I just like, we like scenes where, I also like the in-between stuff. Like when you see two people, I don't really like set pieces in movies where you see that it's set up that it's a movie scene and they're sitting in a diner across from each other eating. And then the waitress comes over and they order food and then magically a sandwich appears 5 seconds after that. And I like all the things that happen in between the scenes that you never see in movies, like a car, you know, pulling up right in front of where the person has to go. Instead of, like, I would rather see them park 3 blocks away and then I'll make something happen within those 3 blocks of the walk to where they have to go. But we never see that. We just see everything cut. And we're not fans of, like, all this cutting that goes on. We like to let things play. Like, there's a scene in the... where the mother and the daughter are getting out of the car and then they walk into the cabin. You can, I mean, at least I feel, like, I hope the audience feels the same way, but we had someone mention to us that, why don't you just cut to them, the car pulls up and then you cut to them entering the door. And Rob just, you know, basically said, why? You don't cut just to cut. So, like, and I agreed with him because, like, I could see all the, just the way that the daughter got out of the car, slammed the door, and walked way ahead of the mother, and then the mother, like, walking behind her, you could tell they got into an argument in the car, or they're maybe not getting along, just by, like, that little bit of energy, but we would have lost all of that if we had cut from the car to the door.
Being, like, being on stage and you see a newbie come up or someone who's never done it before, the first inclination they're going to do is they got to start talking because they feel they have to take up that time and say something. By far, silence is the most powerful thing you can do because people are wondering, what the hell is going to happen?
And stillness too. You know, I worked with a director one time, and we worked in this play in the round, and I just remember him saying, there's nothing more boring than pointless motion. And it was a line in the script, and we used it, all of the actors, and And I remember just this one scene, I'm basically torturing this one actor by pretty much telling him what a loser he is, and I did it from like just sitting in a chair, and I didn't move at all. I felt like a king on a throne, you know, telling someone like off with their head or whatever, and without even moving, just that stillness. Instead of moving all around like we started to do it, like when we started rehearsals, it just seemed so watered down that I learned that like if you root yourself, that there's strength in just being still. So we try to like implement a lot of like things like that, but it's keeping your vulnerability open too. You know, it's if you're really angry at someone and then they do something to make you feel something, it's like, you know, allow that to happen. You know, and it's scary to work that way because then you don't know what's going to happen. But that's like the beauty of like why I get thrilled about being in movies, and what I always loved about them is you know, seeing those kind of actors that you don't know what's going to happen next. You know, there's a lot of really great actors in Hollywood, and they're great technicians, but you kind of know what they're going to do. I like the people that are more like, they shock you by like what they do from moment to moment, because it's almost like they don't even know what they're going to do. So it kind of like surprises you, and I think that's the key to good scenes in a movie is they almost look like they're being improvised right then and there, that they're like happening at that moment organically. So that's what I like.
Soundtrack, as you can tell, or the viewers who saw earlier, again when we play, you guys played again, we have very little music. Well, the music we have is basically in the cabin, and it's coming from that radio. That radio is supposed to signify, and I grew up in that cabin, I know, you can't get a damn radio station in there. Everything is more crackles than Rice Krispies. So I wanted to simulate that isolation where these people in there, they can't even hear radio. They don't have, there's no TV. There is nothing going on. So we had somebody who wrote a couple of 3 blues pieces for us, and we had our audio guy, Rich Albee, who did the audio for us, mixed it on Pro Tools, 5-to-1 surround, which we spent a good month and a half working on that alone, and by far one of the most important parts of the film. Because as I said, in the 5-to-1, when you sit there and you hear in the 5-to-1 surround sound, the things coming in from all over, the crickets behind, the speech only up front in the center speaker, the sound effects in the side speaker, extremely important. And like I said before, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm going to because my mind's going. Audio is so important, and most people just don't pay attention to it because they're worried about the visual and what's happening, what you're seeing. Sometimes you can hear things, and things you don't see and hear coming, you don't know what's happening, are far more powerful than that. So audio for us was probably the most important part.
Yeah, those are the things like when you're home alone and it's completely silent and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you hear something creaking and crackling in the background.
That's you?
That's me.
That's you. I knew that was you. I knew that was you. I gotta get, I should have never given you a key to my apartment.
I didn't use the key.
Yeah, we're big fans again. That's whatever your philosophy is.
That's him?
That's
Get the jumper cables.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, that's back to, again, it's philosophy of movie making. It's like, I love it that you can have a guy looking out of a window, dressed in a t-shirt and jeans, and he's looking at a girl sunbathing. And if you put ominous music behind it, the audience assumes he's going to hurt her. You can take that same guy dressed the same, looking out the same window with the same girl, and you put beautiful romantic music behind it, and now they think he's in love with her. And it's like, it's just about the power of suggestion and what you can do with that.
In the abandoned house scene, one of the things that we discussed was the fact that as you see, you kind of know we're coming back. Audio-wise, we don't give any of that away. It's complete silence. You hear them talking, they're echoing a little bit. You don't hear our footsteps. There's no music. There's nothing to indicate we're going to be there. We're just going to leave that to your imagination when and where we're going to show up by the silence. And we're very big.
Yeah, and like Rob was saying about movies, like the dialogue in this movie, it comes from the center, and a lot of the sound effects from around the sides. It's like in movies now, it's almost like they show you two people in love, and then they got to give you some love song that they're trying to sell a soundtrack of, and that has to like come in and like bang you over the head with a hammer, telling you, oh, they're in love, see? And you're already like, I knew that already. And that goes to like what we don't like to do is give everything away. Like I would love for one person. You okay? I would love for one person to feel one way about a scene, and then maybe the person that they saw the movie with feels a completely different way. It's like you leave the audience to be able to feel something instead of giving them everything, and then there's nothing to feel anymore. I always hated that, in watching stuff and watching performances. It's like you just cried for 5 minutes. Now I don't have any feelings at all. Like you didn't leave me any room to like sympathize with you or anything. You just let me have it. So I kind of like, like more restrained things, and also like to be able to hear the dialogue and not have things over it. Like, yeah, we could have put music in the car when we're driving, like, and had radio stations playing all the time, but would it have been great if we were talking about stabbing someone while some song was playing on the radio? It's kind of like we just...
It's like a sitcom where they're using the music to tell you how you should feel, rather than letting you feel the way you think you should feel. I wanted to say thanks to those guys for making those comments, for you, for all your viewers, because it shows that you care, and there's still people out there that care about independent movies, characters, plots, and my hat's off to you guys, especially you. Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent. It was very good. It made it mainstream, but if you haven't seen it, see Black Christmas. Black Christmas was Halloween before Halloween, about 4 or 5 years beforehand. Canadian movie, Margot Kidder's in it. A lot of the same elements of Halloween, just not as polished as Halloween was, but Halloween was absolutely brilliant.
I spent a New Year's Eve with Margot Kidder.
Hey, that's how you got that disease. As much we appreciate you guys. Without an audience, without air, we're nothing. Thank you so much.